enlightening, inspirational, powerfully refining, and unapologetically controversial. Conversations with the Royal Empress. The entire world knows the secret of who you are. Now is the time to step into your queendom and become the Royal Empress that you're meant to be. One woman at a time. Conversations with the Royal Empress. Now Akilah, she's the analytical Empress. Hakeemah, she's the Empress that will challenge you. Now, straighten up your crown and be elevated through conversations. Conversations with the Royal Empress.
Welcome to another episode of Conversations with the Royal Empress. This is Akilah, and joining me is my co-host, Hakeemah. And our guest co-host this evening is Brother Nathaniel Muhammad. And Nathaniel Muhammad is a self-employed home revolution expert. He is also a political activist and a social media activist who says that his work involves the resurrection business. Anyway, Brother Nathaniel is also a loving and devoted father, and he is joining us tonight to talk about fatherhood. Welcome, Brother Nathaniel.
Well, thank you for having me. Peace be upon both of you all. I'm so humbled to be here with you.
We are glad to have you.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Fatherhood, Father's Day is here. And
that's right.
When we think about the word fatherhood, how do we define that? What does it mean when we say fatherhood? What does it mean to be a father?
Well, it's funny you said fatherhood, because you got the suffix hood at the end, and it's about father means furthering into the future. Hood is the protection. Father is, as we all know, he's a protector, a provider, a maintainer, not just on a physical level, but on a mental and emotional level, as in terms of being a husband, maintaining his wife emotionally and physically, emotionally and mentally, and his children, being a father of them, maintaining them with guidance, counsel, intelligence, and furthering their life into the future with all of these things. So when we talk about fatherhood, that's what the basis is, and I'm blessed to have had a father in my life. So his example has been a big impact on my life as being a father as well.
When you say you are fortunate enough to have a father, and kind of talk about that, like what impact does it have on a child to have a father in his life who is furthering him along, or her?
And the impact is totally indescribable. It's so great that if I didn't have one, I wouldn't even know where I'd be right now. I'm sure if I didn't have a father, God would have stepped in and provided the necessary things that I didn't have. But the impact on having a father is guidance, wisdom. Even while my father is gone, he died in 1999, but the things that he taught me, it just still resides in your heart and guides you to this very day. His example of fearlessness and protecting his family, doing whatever it took to make sure we were safe and secure. And those are the kind of things that shaped me and impacted me. So that's just an example for you right there.
Okay. And what do you think, as far as the Black community now? I'm asking you all of these questions, but I'm just curious because you always have this way of thinking and so much, you're always on point with so many things. And so it just seems like you would just be the perfect person to kind of ask all these questions too.
Well, the Black community, unfortunately, like, on social media, we got a lot of fake conscious people, that don't want to they don't want to take responsibility for the truth, and the truth is that that's why we running around shooting, killing each other in the streets. Ain't no Black men in masks running around shooting people down in Chicago, and that's our children out there. Most of whom are fatherless, who are running wild in the streets, and the streets have become their father. That's the problem with the Black community. You already know I'm a big proclaimer of uniting the Black family, and you already know the high percentage of broken families. But what does it do? No one really wants to talk about that. What the consequences of that are? The consequences are the destruction of our children, the self-destruction of our children as well, and that's what's going on. There's an African proverb that says, "One knee cannot bring up a child." And that's referring to a parent. You need two knees to walk. You need two parents. You need not just a mother. You need a father, but you need a mother too. But our problem, everybody got mothers. We don't got no fathers around, and it's really showing in the streets when we're running wild, we're murdering each other, and we got to get this family back together. So
Don't you think though, like when we talk about that, but I feel like in a way we've gotten away from that whole village mentality in our community as well, because there are times when the father can't be there, and not because he's walked away from his home or anything like that. You have some men who, sometimes your father will prematurely pass away. Sometimes you have fathers who are incarcerated, but not necessarily incarcerated for the wrong thing. And I say that because I think that there are some justifications for it, particularly in defending your family. And so we do what we have to do in that regard. But I'm just saying, or maybe there's some kind of illness. There's so many factors other than, quote unquote, just a man walking away and not doing for him. He may not be physically capable of doing it. And so then what do we do as a community? Like, shouldn't we have a village mentality? Where are the other fathers? Shouldn't they be out in the streets fathering the children too, furthering them along?
Yes, that's true. There's always going to be exceptions to the rule, as things as you have said, illnesses, early deaths, other unfortunate circumstances. But I feel as if though the high percentage of the situation is mostly solvable, and those other exceptions to the rule, I feel like that's when the village should step in, and uncles, step parenting, and things of that sort should take precedence. And the village should step in. God, He has a way to step in when there's a circumstance like that.
As we're discussing a village helping to raise a child, it was a post that you had put out there about mothers allowing their boyfriends to watch their children, and you were like very adamant you shouldn't. But if you do, be proactive and put cameras up, because you need to know what's going on with your children. And just when we were talking about the community, and that is a reflection of a lot of the posts that you put out, is being proactive and being a guardian of the community. How important do you feel that, or how invested you think our brothers need to be in order to turn our community around? Because you show some great investment in just the way you think and what you share and the advice that you put out. How invested you think our brothers should be um, in those regards to get our community back to where it is?
Man, they should be very committed, invested, and invested in discipline, invested in, yeah, mostly discipline, because like as you said, we got a lot of, it's not just, I talk a lot about feminism and stuff, but it is another side of the coin. We got a lot of our males are in a messed up condition where they're not even suitable to be protectors, because we have become abusers of our own children, and so we need knowledge of self. We need discipline. We need to be re-educated. That we need to be highly invested in self-development, most definitely. So it's blame on all ends. We got a responsibility as men, and we're the men, so the responsibility does fall on us first.
I'm thinking about investment, and I see so many brothers out there who are invested, who are out there doing the work in the community, who have their social programs, and that they're going in and they're really trying to mentor boys. Like, how do we encourage other men to step up, and to understand their role and to understand their role as fathers? Because I don't think you have to father a child in the biblical sense to be a father.
That's true. I feel like inspiring men to step up. It's men like numbers. I feel like that if they see a whole lot of other men in ranks doing something, then they're more prone to follow and do it, as opposed to individuals, cajoling them to do something. So I feel like if they see a positive group of brothers striving to do something, then they'll do it. They'll do it by force, shame, or just being influenced. So that's the best way, to me. And definitely, the Nation of Islam is the best example of that. So, like, brothers should come on home to the teachings of Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and let him make you a man, a real man.
I heard that. Teach by example, or influence
That's
by
right.
example.
And that you mentioned the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because I had some great examples in my family, but outside of your family, people also need strong examples. The FOI, or members of the FOI, were the strongest examples of Black men standing up for their people for me outside of my household. And even more so, I would say they stood up more so for the liberation of Black people, for in my eyes, more so than the men in my family. So when you mention the FOI, I'm like, a lot of people don't understand the impact that the FOI has on the Black community. The examples that the brothers, I'm gonna say you too, you FOI brother, but the examples that you all lay for us as women, and laying the groundwork for what to expect from other brothers in the community, and also from our younger brothers. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's very, very important. as an example, I grew up in the streets of Chicago. I was a vice lord. I used to gang bang. I've been in prison, and the example that the Nation of Islam had on me was inspiring me to want to clean myself up and be a man. That was because I had a father, as I told you in the beginning, but I still was a disobedient child. So my father was a Christian, so he was a good man though, but still he couldn't tap into that which the nation was able to tap into because of the wisdom that we've been blessed to have. So when I saw the example of that the FOI nation, it tapped that part that no one had ever tapped before. That made me want to be a better man, made me want to be right, made me want to be all that I could be, not in the army, but in my own black nation. So that was that their example is definitely prime example, and it's very important to the community. Very important. That's the way that I see it.
Mm.
So,
Sounds to me like you had your father, and as great as he was in teaching you to be a man and the basics of being a man, you still had a spiritual father that came in and helped to connect those dots. That's what I'm hearing. You can correct me.
I'm hearing that too.
Well, you could say it. You can't say it that way, and it is. Yeah, it's true because he was my spiritual father as well, but not. He had some spiritual principles that he gave and all that, but he didn't have the wisdom. And you're right, the honorable Minister of Farrakhan, that he is my spiritual father. So yeah, I had a spiritual father, but that's
so you
it.
were raised,
You're right.
You were raised.
Say that again.
I said, so you were raised and then you were raised.
That's right. Most definitely.
I think
so. That there you have it.
Yeah.
That's that meaning of father, ain't it?
Is a spiritual father of the Black community.
Mm. So happy Father's Day to the Nation of Islam.
And to Black people, period. Happy Father's Day to Black people, to the brothers, all our brothers, because like you said, that's beautiful what you just said.
Yeah. Because that's village, that's a whole village too, though. Because it's not even if the father is there, you still have the village to even support what your father, what your birth father does for you. And, and I think that's part of it. Sometimes there are things that we have a limited knowledge on, even though we know the basics. We know how to teach our children right from wrong, and we know how to teach them all sorts of things. But there's some people that may have something else. And I think if we are a village, then everybody has a role and a responsibility to help to teach and, and raise and inspire and help us to ascend to where we're supposed to be or where we've been and get back to where we should be.
That's correct. That's right. I really like building with y'all, sister. No, seriously.
But you have a unique situation that I want to talk about, because we're talking about it from this standpoint, but just when we start talking about fatherhood, and sometimes we have those debates about, what the mother does and what the father does, and, or we talk about, just like you said, there are a lot of homes out there now where fathers are not in the homes. And so you have mothers raising their children, and we always hear about the single mother, but people don't realize that there are a lot of fathers out there who are also raising their children without a co-parent. And
Right.
so I'm going to let you just address single fatherhood and what it is, because now let me tell you what I think. I hear a lot of people saying that they're single parents, but yet the other parent is in the children's life and doing things just like the other parent. So just because you live with one, to me, doesn't mean that you're a single parent because the child lives with you, but yet the father or the mother is coming in, you know, paying support, or, you know, also involved with the child's life on a regular and consistent basis. To me, that's co-parenting, not single parenting. You may have a different view of that, but I feel like a single parent is somebody who is actually a single parent and there is no co-parent.
Right.
Okay, so you agree with me?
I basically agree with you. Because unfortunately, I'm a single father, and my daughter's mother is not in the picture at all. So, to answer your question, um, single fatherhood and single motherhood uh, is not good. Period. It's just something that I would encourage people who are in younger relationships and are having children to just stick with the one you got. If you got children with them, I mean, you might as well make it work. I mean, you got this new age generation that's talking all this. Well, you know, it's all right to and it is under certain circumstances, but not all the time. I mean, if you lay down and make this responsibility, you lay down and make that responsibility. Okay, then endure what it takes to fulfill that responsibility. Sometimes it requires you humbling yourself, making it work with the person you have the child with, because single parenting ain't what's happening. I mean, for the male or the female, it's hard. I mean, you hear a lot of men saying, "Can't no woman make a boy into a man." I mean, that's true, but can't no man make a girl into a woman either. I mean, you need a woman. You need a woman. Like, I have daughters. You need a woman to help raise these girls. You know what I'm saying? I know that. I don't have no problem admitting it. I'm not going to be like, I could raise these girls all by myself. Nah, shit, I need help. But these women need help too. I mean, it's just something that's not good. But I'm doing God is blessing me. That's your next help. The help of God.
I had a question for you because you said it's hard raising the girls. And in a previous podcast, we had advised women to, if you don't have that father, if the child's father's not in his life, you need to find appropriate role models for your son, like a teacher, or a male friend, or uncle. What are your thoughts on finding a suitable mentor or female role model for your daughter, and how do you address that for your daughters?
Well, for one, my mother, which is a grandmother, she has really played a pivotal role in stepping up, as you said, brought up about the village. Thank God for her, because she has, helped me out a lot in that area. And you also have, the MGT, who has helped me out a hell of a lot as well with, all of the feminine things that women teach women, and things of that sort. But me as a man, I have had to learn more of these kind of things as well, because I don't have, I'm raised them by myself. So, but those kind of people who have been role models, their grandmother, their aunts, those kind of people, the believing community of women, they all have been a blessing to me. So those are the role models.
For the audience, that the MGT, that's the women in the Nation of Islam, and then the FOI is the brothers in the Nation of Islam. Just for our clarification for our listener audience. So thank you, brother, for sharing.
I was just joking. I wanted to know how good you are at combing your daughter's hair, but
we want to see pictures.
I'm not good. Luckily, they have mastered that on their own. The little ponytails, and I just spent some money.
They had to do it on their own. They like, oh Lord, Daddy cannot do my hair. I got to learn how to do this.
Yeah. Got to look at some YouTube videos, some gel, and some
gel. You know about the gel, huh?
Yeah, I know about the gel.
Oh my God. I'm only laughing because I promise you, I have seen little girls have their hair combed by dad. And it's you usually can tell that daddy did there. So I just wonder.
There's no structure. There's no structure at all to the hairstyle.
But there are a few brothers. Who have mastered it. So I just wondered how you were with that, considering that you got all girls that you're taking care of.
Yeah, I have custody of 2. So those are, the ones who I'm taking care of. But yeah, the hair, I'm not good with it at all.
What about other things? Because I know for me, having a son, I think that there are some conversations that he's just not comfortable having with me, that he would rather talk to my brother about, or he would rather, talk to another guy about. Do you have those issues with your daughters, or are they open with you where everything is on the table?
No, I believe that they are not. I know I can tell when they're hiding something, when they don't want to talk about something. So I feel like they go to their grandmother or one of the sisters and talk to them about it. I already told them, if you want to talk to a woman about something, go talk to your grandmother, talk to one of the sisters, So I talk to them about things that are necessary, but I don't like to I don't get into the feminine or women kind of things. Like I let their grandmother take care of all of their whatever like hygienic things they need to buy. And I let her. I just give her the money and tell her, can you go handle this? Because I don't. I just feel like, well, we're taught we shouldn't do that anyway. We shouldn't, like, a father shouldn't be like taking his daughters to the store trying to buy them underwear, and it's just not right. You know what I mean? So I let a woman handle all that. They don't really come to me about very feminine things. They don't.
Okay.
Because I think you laid the groundwork when you said, see grandma, to talk to your auntie. So it sounds like you laid the groundwork of their shortcomings that I have by being a father, and these are girls. You set up a direct lineage for them to, look, if you have any questions, you go here. So it made it easier for you. And at the same time, it sounds like their needs are met. So they're not getting it shorthanded from a male perspective, but from the ideal perspective, which is from another woman, or older woman, which sounds like,
right.
I applaud you on that. I've heard fathers, single fathers, talk about how difficult it was for them to explain the usage of feminine hygiene products to their daughter and how uncomfortable they felt. But based on the fact that there was no one they could rely on, they had to be that one. And I'm sure that's difficult, but for you, it just seems like because you had those resources available, it was so easy for you to direct them, which turns out to be best for the young lady. Because some things you just can't, I couldn't fathom having that conversation with my dad. I think I would have lost my mind. Having those type of conversation, or even having my dad take me to get him, I would have felt so embarrassed and so uncomfortable.
You know, that's interesting as thinking about that, because I've told someone before, the only reason my father knows that I'm not a virgin is because I have a child.
Same here.
So so there's just certain things that as a woman, well, as a girl, then a woman, like, no, I can't tell my daddy that.
Look, I told my dad I'm still a virgin. I don't know how these girls got here.
I know, right?
Dad, I ain't doing nothing. I'm married, but I ain't doing nothing, Dad. I just want you to know we ain't doing nothing. And he chuckles like, okay,
immaculate conception around here.
Right. That's what I was about to say. Is it, you know, you always want your dad to think you this Holy Mary, right?
I know. But it's amazing when you think about it, because I really, you know, but I don't know, there's some people I think that may have that relationship with their father. I know that there's a large percentage of men who are the primary caretakers of their children, far more than I think society even discusses. I don't think anybody ever really talks about the statistics or the number of men who are actually out here, you know, and this is just my whole thing, because I feel like sometimes, you know, we're constantly hearing about the absent father, but there are some who are just doing it all. And I think that they need to be recognized, and then understand also that, because we hear about the quote unquote deadbeat dad, this person isn't doing this, and blah, 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 blah. When I'm willing to say the majority are doing what they're supposed to do. And some. But I do know that I have personally met so many men who were the primary caretakers. And I think because I do child custody mediation, prior to me doing that, I would have never guessed so many men were the primary caretakers of their children. And I think I was blown away to see so many. And I'm like, and we don't realize that. And I think that they have the same issues and the same conversations that single mothers have, or the women who are the primary caretakers. There's a difference in being a primary caretaker and being a single parent. So I keep using terms, but I'm just saying, but they have the same exact conversation.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Sister Akilah had to correct me, because we were having a conversation, and I was just like, you know, single mothers this and single mothers that, and you know, she had to educate me on the fact that no, it's way more men who are single fathers, more than is being put out in the public, and I felt ignorant. I was like, man, I was under the impression that it was the other way around, and it was just a enlightening conversation, and it just made me say, hey, let me change my perspective, because so often it is put out there, you know, deadbeat dads this and single mothers this. Like, I was educated on what a single parent means, the one who's doing it all. Ain't no co-parenting opportunity here. I did not realize the amount of brothers who were raising their children, and I felt so liberated and was so grateful and was so happy to pass that knowledge on to other women when they talk about these deadbeat dads now. There's so many single mothers, and I had to correct them and say, I've been enlightened and I've been educated, and there are more brothers out there doing their thing by themselves without the help of the mother than we know. And so I'm so grateful that we're having this conversation, and we have you as a witness that we're not just putting facts out there, we're just putting information out there. We have you as an example that there are more brothers than we actually think.
I really don't know about the statistics, but I don't. I never knew there was more brothers that were primary caretakers than there were women. I always.
Oh, I wasn't saying that. I just meant that it was more than what excuse me, what I was.
Right.
Let me clarify. What I was trying to say, it was more brothers than I actually thought, and so I was just so ignorant to the fact that it needs to be awareness brought to it that we assume that a single parent is always a woman with children. That's not true.
Right. Okay, I got you. Yeah, you're right, because it is a growing number of primary caretaking fathers. You're right, because one of my other friends just got custody of his son, and the mother is not in the picture at all. He got full custody. So yeah, that more attention needs to be brought on to that, because it's hard for women and for men. But I've actually gained a more understanding of and respect for women for what they go through in raising children, because doing it on your own, you see, because I'm used to being the man out working all day while the children are home with their mom, and I'm working, and while she watching the children handling all the affairs for the children, and I'm working and coming home and not seeing all of the things that she has to do. But now a man gets a greater understanding of a woman's role, and I'm sure there's a lot of women out there getting a greater understanding of a man's role, because they got to work. They got to work. So, all of this stuff is leading us right back to the family again, getting the family back together. But because all this single parenthood, fathers or mothers, it ain't none of it's no good.
What's the answer?
The answer
For marriage?
is yes, marriage. Foundation of community is marriage. Marriage is the foundation of family. Then family is the foundation of community. Community is the foundation of a strong nation. Mm-hmm. So we need marriage. We need to have family. We can't have marriage with the same parents. Then I guess step parenting is the next thing, and that's a whole nother subject.
Yeah, it is.
I would like to come talk to y'all about that, but that's a whole nother subject, because it's a wide range of topics in that. But yes, you're right though. The family we got to get the family back together, or else we're just gonna have all this GMO stuff going on.
Please define that.
GMO stuff.
Modified what?
Genetically modified families.
GMF, I love it. I love it.
Fathers with the children, no mother. I mean, it just ain't how it's supposed to be. It's not. It's why it's the system doing. That's really at the root of all of this stuff, man. It really is.
Can you expound on that a little bit?
The system? Mm-hmm. Yes. Wow, where do I start?
Act like you sharing a post on Facebook. Give it to us Nate style.
Right, cause see, I'm not familiar with your audience, but America was founded on destruction of the black family from day one. I mean, that's from day one. Breaking up the family, taking the children away from the mothers and the fathers, and selling them. Why do you? That's why we so still destroyed now, because look at how we started off. Look at how they started us off, selling our children, man. They had our daughters in prostitute houses from age 12 to 16 during slavery, man. This, and then we wonder why we got so much prostitution going on in our neighborhoods and broken families and all that, because all this stuff started from day one. We need to get away from this system, period. This system is what's destroying our families from day one. And then, you got the 60s, the welfare, not to have a man in the home. I know y'all familiar with all that, and that played a part. And then feminism, abortion, and you have all of these forces coming against the family, coming against our families. So we've been totally traumatized, and now we just we need to separate from this system, because we'll never get the family back together under this system. We'll never do it. It ain't never gonna happen. Look at they claim we better off now, which we're not, because our families are worse off. I mean, at least in the 60s, there was like 60 to 80% of both parents in one home. But look now, it's 2019, and what's the percentage now? 29% or 20% or something like that of both parents in the home.
It's very low.
We being made,
yeah, it's a huge.
Very low.
We being made GMO. We being made into GMOs.
I love it, man. You are so right. I had a teacher. One of my daughter's teachers had asked a question she asked my daughter, and she asked a question to my daughter in front of me and my husband. And this is what she said to my daughter, because my daughter was acting up, and she was like, "Is this your real mother?" And she said, "Yes." She said, "Now, I'm going to ask, is this your real father?" And my daughter said, "Yes." So she said, "This is your real parents?" And my daughter said, "Yes." And she says, "This is your house. Like, you live in a house, you're not renting." She says, "Yes." She says, you do not understand how grateful you are or how blessed you are, because there are so many children who have the obstacles to overcome before they even get to school. They leaving out a household with one parent that's not theirs, or maybe two parents that's not theirs. They may be living with another family that's totally different, that's not even, living with someone else rather. And she talked about how so many obstacles that a lot of these young children have before they even get to class. And so that was so eye-opening when she told me. She says, not many children who have both parents in the household, when they have meeting with their parents, it's often 4 parents show up. The father with his now wife and the mother with her now husband. So now you got all these extra people involved in a situation regarding one child. And it just creates so many obstacles. So when you said that, I'm like, he's so right. Because just to hear teachers confirm that and say, this is the obstacles that children have, and this is what teachers got to deal with. Well, who am I talking to? I'm talking to the father and his wife, and I'm talking to the mother and her husband, and all these people are not in agreement with each other. And the child is sitting right there through all this chaos. It's wow, you're right. That's a whole nother topic, bro.
That is a
total mess.
Yeah, that's a whole other topic, but it's interesting because, as I'm listening to it, I'm like, but why are 4 people involved? And of course, I'm coming from the standpoint that when you go to these schools, you put mama down, you put daddy down, and that's who has permission to talk to the school on the parents' behalf, unless somebody else is authorized to do so. And you ain't got to authorize nobody that's not the legal mama or daddy to do anything. So that's just interesting to me to even hear that you would have 4 people, you know what I mean?
Girl, I have been in the meetings where it's like, well, when they go around table and say,
right.
Well, who are you? Well, I'm the mother, and this is my husband. And I've heard, well, I'm the father, and this is my wife. And I'm like, oh, my Lord. And this is not like, if there's ever like 3 or 4 children in a little feud, and they're against each other, and they want to try to hash it out with the parents. Okay, well, we invite the parents. They may be unaware that these 2 parents are not married, and now they bringing in, I'm bringing in my spouse because they support me. it's all kind of issues or drama right there in itself. Like, right, if my husband had a child prior to being married to me, and there was an issue, and it ain't for me. That's for him and the mother to deal with. That's not my business. However, in this society, I guess it makes it more difficult because the child is probably in both places. So now you got all these people who feel vested. So now I got to say something. I'm stepmother. Or then in the case of the man that's a stepfather, I got to say something because this child spent 50% time in my house. So you got all these scenarios that's just affecting the child and the child's growth and development.
Yeah, it can. I guess I think about that in terms of, I mean, I've seen that when I've done mediations where the step parents will come as well. But if there's any drama, I put the step parents out the room. So
You say get out.
That's good.
no, seriously, because from a legal standpoint, you have no standing. So there's no reason for you to be here unless you are a benefit. Now, on the other side, I've also had the step parent who's been involved in a mediation, and I wanted them to stay because they were the only one in the room with some sense. So,
Wow.
yeah, I mean, so that
Wow.
happens too. So you have both scenarios, because sometimes you have step parents who actually bring more balance than the biological parents, and so it's kind of a it could go either way. But if the step parent is causing any kind of problems, they're not welcome to stay in my mediation.
Wow. Genetically modified families. I love it. GMF, bro, you just started, so I'm going to be talking about these GMFs. See what I'm saying, brother? How you be dropping these bombs. Our audience definitely got to get to know Brother Nathaniel. That was deep what you dropped. And it all goes back to the objective or the plan of white supremacy is to destroy the Black family. And what way to destroy it? How you got a child split between two households and 4 parents? It's crazy.
That's right. Real quick, they got a saying. They say, how you gonna have one basketball team with multiple coaches?
Oh.
Hold on, bro, say that again, man. Say that
how
again.
You gonna have
you
one?
mean to tell me Steve Kerr and Phil Jackson can't coach the same team?
Well,
now they do have a coach and an assistant coach.
But see, Steve Kerr and Phil Jackson, even though Steve Kerr played for Phil Jackson, he's still a head coach. So now you got these 2 head coaches saying, I'm the head coach, right? Right, Brother Nathaniel?
Right.
Oh, wow. That's deep.
It really is. And I mean, y'all just kind of had me thinking about that because of course, me with my whole village thing where I think that, but we do have those who are the decision makers. And ultimately, the parent is the decision maker. And so I think that it is up to the parent to make sure that that their spouse, who is not the biological parent of the child, understands that the 2 parents are the actual decision maker at the end of the day. And I think maybe that's something that we need to understand more and more in the community, that you don't get to dictate to the parents what should happen. Now, yeah, I mean, if you're in your household, yeah, you can have certain behaviors that are not acceptable in your household. I don't know, I came from a blended family, so I guess my perspective is just a little bit different. I mean, my stepfather absolutely had a lot of influence and a lot to say, but he was also a peacemaker. And, and so realistically, because he was such a balanced person, there was never a conflict. In fact, I think that he probably could talk to my father more so than my mother could. So, I think it just really depends on the people. You either have somebody who is for the village or you have somebody who's not. Make sure that you pick the right one when you go out and remarry or get somebody else that you bring into your child's life. Are they for the village or against the village?
So you saying that's a
Right.
courtship question right there?
That's a courtship question, right?
Are you
Oh yeah.
pro-village or not? If you're not, we can't
Oh
continue this
yeah.
relationship.
That's a courtship question for real. I mean, it really is. If you bring in people together like that, what is it? What role will you have in this? And that's more so if both parents are actually co-parenting. You don't have that issue at all if it's a true single parenting situation. What if the household is truly dysfunctional though? I mean, I get that you're saying, well, okay, we have these children, but if you're so dysfunctional in that household that to stay together is more detrimental to your children than to part, how do you respond to something like that?
Well, separation. Definitely. There are some you know, circumstances where the two adults are so dysfunctional, or they're not on the same level enough where they're going to become destructive. And unfortunately, you gotta break that up. I mean, but there, the marriage and struggling to become one with someone, it's a struggle. So everybody gonna struggle.
Right.
But if it's just like you said, then you gotta break that up.
Mm.
So you're just saying don't let a little bit of discomfort or something is not going your way, let that be a reason for you to separate your family.
Exactly.
So not the petty
Exactly.
stuff.
Right. Right. I mean, we black people. I mean, black people gonna argue. You shouldn't argue in front of the children. Though, see, they got
No.
to be lines laid. But we're gonna argue. Uh, going to be disagreement and things of that sort. But once it uses violence and disrespect and just once it gets lawless, then yeah, you gotta break that up.
But Nathaniel, I have a question for you because we have talked about in our previous podcast, we talked about single mothers bringing in men around their children too soon in a relationship, and from a woman's perspective. Now, from a male, can you give us a male perspective on that, and when you think it's appropriate to bring, women that you may be interested in around your daughters? Can you shed some light on that for us, or share your perspective?
Yes. I feel me. I would judge that it's uh good to do so after she's been. You have to know what she's like when she's angry. Um, what definitely what kind of role model she is as a woman, how she carries herself and everything. But she would have to be tried and tested, to see what kind of woman she is, and especially how she behaves in your absence when you're not around. It's a process. You just have to go through it step by step. It's like a test. It's like you're in court. You have to, because these children, man, they are so important that,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of adults that are jealous of children. There's a lot of adults
Mm,
that are not suitable to be around children, not because
mm,
these adults are not good people, but it's because they are so underdeveloped that they will destroy these children.
mm,
So, me, a woman coming around my children, she had to be able to control her anger. She would have to be able to control her mouth. And I'm not saying that as in a chauvinistic way. I'm being real because people get mad. They say things if their anger is not under control, then they're gonna say things they regret. So it's it's a big test she would have to pass. Big test.
Do you think a lot of women are doing that with the men that they bringing around?
Oh, hell no. No, they're not. Hell no.
Well, tell us how you really feel.
Because I know. I mean, I've seen it firsthand myself. I mean, I'm not being stereotypical, but a lot of them, okay, they're in a relationship that failed with the actual father. They're looking for a replacement, looking for a rebound, looking for, and that's another thing. A lot of these Facebook relationships are the same way, just to prove to your ex, oh, I got somebody. I got somebody to replace you. You in a picture with this person, and you don't really care about them. You just enslaving them, basically. You enslaving their soul to show somebody else. I'm in a relationship now, and that's what you get. Blah, 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 blah. So
Teach, but I've seen that so many times.
Women try to replace and rebound with a person that they haven't even examined. Okay, they like the person physically and don't know nothing about them. And then before you know it, this person has destroyed your children. And you didn't even care about seeing the real them. You know, I mean, it's a lot of things you could do to find out who this person is before you leave them around your children. I mean, you can pray on it. I mean, Allah, is this man a good man? Is he worthy for me to leave around my children? He will reveal it to you fast. I mean, whether you accept it or not, it's up to you. But he'll tell you, no, he's not. And you want to don't believe it, then that's on you. But you didn't even, a lot of them don't even care. They don't even do the due diligence of finding out. That's all.
They move too fast.
Yeah.
I definitely am in agreement. I don't believe in quickie relationships when you have children. You know, even when we're talking about, you know, process, when you dating, courtship, whatever we want to call it, 2-3 months ain't enough time when you got children. Because there's so many other factors, I think, that go into play when you're doing that. And then you got some people, and you can kind of tell this to me, where, and since we're talking about fathers, when you say replacing that guy, do you feel like sometimes when they get someone else, they give the biological father even more problems?
Yes. Yeah, a lot of these. I mean, that's one of the first signs a woman should see that this guy's no good. Because see, I'm the kind of guy that I don't want to interfere. If the child's not mine, I don't want to interfere with the relationship with him and his father. I don't. You know, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan teaches us that. I mean, because there was a brother. He went to the minister and told him how, yeah, I married this woman and I told her the father ain't coming around the son. And the minister put him in check quick. Brother, you don't stand in the way of him seeing his child. You know, basically, like, who you think you are? You know? So that's the first sign a woman should see when this man want to show he's going to be an impediment between the child and the parent. If he give you any kind of sign of that's a red flag for you right there. If you don't see that as a red flag, then you don't. I'm serious.
Yeah.
Because what grown person who got God in them and know that the children are God's children, what grown person gonna want to try to stand in the way of them, you know, with their parent?
So that's like, when we think about, you know, sometimes the absent father, maybe he's absent because of situations. Well, we already talked about that are beyond his control. And really,
Right.
If you're a stepfather and you're doing that, then as far as I'm concerned, is what we just talked about. You ain't for the village.
No, you're not.
Oh yeah, that's it. They ain't for the village.
You're not for the village. You on some selfish, ego stuff when you stand in the way of somebody's fathering and furthering along their seed.
Yeah. Sometimes a lot of people could call them simps. I know you heard that word, right?
Yes, and I've heard you say simp before.
On the popular level, a simp is one who justifies negative female behavior, justifies errant female behavior, defends females in their wrongful attitudes, just so that he can get up next to them and be intimate with them. So, but you also have other kinds of simps who are like these kind of guys who feel, to impress the woman, I'm the father, and then they're not the father. And the father has been in the child's life, but when he come in the picture, he thinks he's just going to take over as the father because he wants to impress the mother. That's kind of low key simping.
That's a valid point. That's a valid point, because I've heard of situations or had discussions with men where he ain't financially, I'm taking care of the child financially, so he don't need to see him. But raising the child is not just financial. Maybe he just don't have the money, but don't try to stand in between him and his relationship with his son, just because he may not financially be there, but he's there emotionally. And that boy needs his dad emotionally. He needs him, of course, on all levels, but if he can get him emotionally, that's one of the most important levels he needs to have his dad. So sometimes mothers do it too. We want to decide what the role of this person as a parent should be to the child that we're a step parent over. And it's not up for us to be the God or the Lord over this parent with their relationship with their child. Do you know what I mean? We become like the parent police sometimes. People, when they want to put these stipulations on someone else's relationship with their child, because we feel it should be that way. Like you say, if you got God in you and you're for the community, that wouldn't be the behavior that you would be demonstrating.
I just say some of us become like a slave master. We want to play slave master over somebody with somebody else's child.
But I think that that's something that we really should stress and people need to understand. Money does not define fatherhood.
Right.
Money does not define fatherhood. And just because you get with a man who has more money than the man you had the child with does not negate him as the father. And men should not feel inferior because this other man can provide more financially for their child than they can, because what he can never give to that child is that unconditional love that comes from that natural father.
Or the identity.
You can't replace that in a child's life, especially if that child has a wonderful relationship with the father. Especially if that father loves that child, supports that child, is there for that child. Children don't remember what you buy them. They remember your love. They remember seeing you at their basketball game. They remember you showing up.
There's more to it than money. It's like you said, it's about the love. It's the love that will stick with the child, the love that you gave them. They feel love. And now money, it plays a part now. You gotta have some money.
I get that, but you know what I mean.
No, I know exactly what you mean. It's not about the money. It's about the time, the love, and the provision mentally, that you give this child.
Well, thank you for saying that, because I've had disagreements with guys who have said that she get my money, so I don't need to spend time with the child. And I'm asking them, like, but yeah, you might give money, but that don't make up for the relationship that child is lacking. Your money don't make up for that. And so often, so many people think because they pay child support, that's all they need to do. But what about the growth and development of that child? It's like they're not concerned. It's like, don't you want to grow and develop on an individual level? Well, when you spend time with your child, that's what you're doing. It's like we like to use our children as pawns. I'm mad at the mother or the father, so I'm not even going to participate in their life, or I'm not going to allow them to participate in their life. We use our children so much as a weapon against one another that we lose point or lose sight of the fact that we're supposed to be parenting.
Y'all sisters is on it, man. Y'all on it. I just want to say one thing, because what Sister Hakeemah was saying, like men, because see, it's such a complex. Every case is different. Every case, it's so complex. Like you were saying, that a man could be like, well, I'm paying her, I don't need to spend time, and because some of our the system is back to that system again. It's so unjust, I mean, a man paying this certain amount a month, but he only could see the child anyway, like maybe on every other weekend, or if he's lucky, every weekend, or so he sees that and he just gives up on the whole situation, like, just to hell with all this, not, because he's hurt, because of the injustice of the situation, so he don't see the bigger picture. And I just, feel like this we'll never have peace and understanding with this system, period. I feel like a man by nature, he don't want to pay for something. He don't want to pay a woman to take care of something that she's destroying his legacy. You feel me? I mean, if a man, this is how a man think. Okay, if I'm paying you to take care of my child, I still want. I'm not going to pay you to take care of something that you're not bringing my legacy in. You're not. This is still my DNA. This is still my child, whether we're together or not. I have a right to put my legacy in my child, so that when I die, he carry on my name, carry on my legacy, and that's not going on in our community at all. So a lot of men just give up and walk away because they don't see that. Is that understandable?
Yes.
I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. I don't agree with it.
I know you don't agree. Why not? Why not?
I don't agree with because of that you walk away. I think that there's nothing on right. So that not you saying it, but I'm saying, but those who think like that, I don't follow that thinking. I understand how you can feel, but there should be nothing on this earth that should separate you from your seed.
Oh yeah, I agree.
And it's not a system around, because the reality of it is that you have, even though there are a lot of men feel like the court system is stacked against them. I get that. Of course, I'm going to obviously have a different take on that. And, that's a whole other show. But that whole child support thing has changed in the state of Illinois. And so it's not just the father's income that's taken into consideration. It's the mother's income down too. So that has actually changed. And how much time that father spends with his child is actually deducted from what he would be paying in child support, if, of course, she's the actual primary caretaker and not him. But again, that's a whole other.
I didn't know that.
Yes, a lot of people don't know that, but that is the reality.
That's a good start. That's a good start. Because time is money. So if you're spending time, you're spending money.
This is true.
Takes us to our challenges. Oh my gosh, this topic is getting deeper and deeper and deeper. Woo! I'm loving this. I'm excited. So I got a couple of challenges. Got a couple. Man, bro, you dropped a whole lot. this genetically modified family, we need to redefine what the Black family is. Man, woman, child. We need to ensure that we protect the Black family. That's challenge number one. Second, we are not the parent police. We are not to be the impediment for someone else to be able to raise their child. You need to reevaluate your relationship with your stepchild and the step parent. I mean, I'm sorry, not the step parent, but the original parent. Are you an impediment for them to have a relationship with their child? If you are, you need to step up off of them. You are not the parent police. Last but not least, we have to think community, and that's something that we're not doing. We're being narcissistic. We're being selfish. All we're thinking about is ourselves, and we're not thinking about how we parent and how we interact with each other on a relationship level is affecting and destroying our nation. Those are my 3 challenges. So, Brother Nathaniel, of course, we want to thank you for coming on here and dropping some bombs and definitely coming up with some definitions, some new definitions that we need to be using in our community. I'm going to start using it. I love it. And now that we've ended our show, it's just, there's going to be some people that just want to reach out to a brother because you be dropping some bombs. How can they get up with you?
Well, you could visit my Facebook page, Nathaniel Muhammad. It's a pretty nice page. Check me out there. You can visit my Instagram page. It's called Young Fearless God. I'm not on there that much, but you can reach out to me on Facebook. Nathaniel Muhammad, my page stands out. There's no other Nathaniel Muhammad's page like mine. So that's how you can reach me.
Oh, but you know what? Let me give you a final word, brother. Let me give you a final word for our guests.
We need to get our families back together. We need to get marriage back together. We need to get our communities back together. We need Black love. We can't have Black power without Black love. That's my final word.
Listeners, we want to thank you so much for tuning in. Again, with this being Father's Day, happy Father's Day to all the fathers. Let's acknowledge our brothers that are single fathers, and let's not exclude them for the conversation of being a part of the Black family. We look forward to you joining us again. We will join you next week.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Conversations with the Royal Empress. Tune in next week for another enlightening conversation. For more information on the Royal Empress, please visit the website royalempress.org. You can also follow the Royal Empress on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Conversations with the Royal Empress is a subsidiary of the Royal Empress Organization. All rights reserved.